In the world of value, truth hides behind great ideas. Before Adam Smith wrote about wealth, he wrote about the heart. He wanted to know why people care and why they sometimes don't. He wanted to know how a society of imperfect beings could live decently without a master. His answer begins with a simple, scandalous claim: morality is social. We judge ourselves by imagining how others would judge us. Inside each of us stands an observer, the impartial spectator. Past, picture a crowded street. A man drops a coin purse. You see it. No one is watching, or so you think. But you feel the heat of an invisible gaze. You ask yourself, if I pocket this, who am I? Not who do I seem to be, but who would I be in the eyes of a just witness? That witness is the impartial spectator. He does not command, he consults. He is the conscience we borrow from the best version of ourselves. As from this mirror flows sympathy, not pity, but imaginative exchange. We enter another's situation and feel, in miniature, their hopes and wounds. Sympathy is the rehearsal for cooperation. It trains self-interest to speak softly. Smith is not naive. He knows that passions surge, envy bites, vanity struts. But he also knows that commerce forces us to manage these passions. If I insult my customer, I lose her. If I mislead my partner, I lose him. Manners are not masks, they are the muscles of peaceful exchange. Smith, here is the deeper harmony. Self-interest needs sympathy to succeed. A merchant must predict what others value. A worker must anticipate what others will pay for. Entrepreneurs must imagine the desires of people who don't yet exist in markets that haven't yet formed. That is not cold calculation, that is social imagination. And so, the market becomes a theater of moral education, where we practice restraint, cultivate reliability, and earn esteem by being estimable. But what about greed? Smith's reply is blunt. Greed is not the same as self-interest. Greed longs for gain without service, for reward without risk. It wants the fruit without planting the tree. Self-interest, properly understood, seeks durable advantage by creating value for others. That is why reputation matters. That is why promise-keeping pays. The impartial spectator differentiates the two. He applauds profit earned through usefulness and scorns advantage seized through deceit. Consider the shopkeeper who rounds down a bill in front of a child. The margin lost is a lesson gained. The child learns that the world can be trustworthy. Tomorrow that trust lowers the cost of doing business with everyone. Small acts compound into social capital. Sympathy, invested wisely, yields interest. Now think of the spectacle that corrodes sympathy. Favoritism before the law. Privileges sold by power, the glamour of the court that dazzles citizens into worshipping status over character. Smith warned that the love of the great, our fascination with the rich and famous, tempts us to abandon the poor and forget the just. The impartial spectator cuts through this fog. He asks, would the rule you applaud for the powerful feel fair if it were applied to you? The answer is the measure of a moral society. In private life, sympathy disciplines our pride. In public life, it anchors law to legitimacy. We obey not only because we fear the jailer, but because the rule feels right. It resonates with what the impartial spectator would approve. When that resonance breaks, corruption follows. Officials who sell justice, citizens who imitate them, markets that pay more to the connected than to the competent. Sympathy withers, suspicion rises, exchange slows. In How is the Spiral reversed? Not by sermons alone and not by edicts. It is reversed by visible fairness. Contracts enforced, fraud punished, privileges removed, and opportunities opened. When the rules treat us as equal spectators before the law, sympathy can breathe. We begin again to imagine one another as partners instead of prey. Smith believed that prosperity and decency are twins. Where sympathy lives, the circle of cooperation expands. Where it dies, wealth becomes war by other means. So, the question is intimate. Who is your impartial spectator? The best teacher you ever had? The parent you hope to make proud? The future version of yourself who will remember what you did today? Choose wisely. We become like the judge we fear or admire. Self-interest will never vanish, nor should it. It is the fuel of improvement. But sympathy decides the direction. It turns the engine toward service instead of plunder, toward promise instead of threat. So free society asks us to be ambitious in the right way, to win esteem by being estimable, to gain by giving value, to build a name that a just witness would honor. That is not utopia, that is adulthood. So, this is Masters of Value, where minds built the price of freedom. Next time, we confront the factory itself, the division of labor, to learn how the same force that multiplies wealth can narrow the soul, and what must be done to keep efficiency from devouring meaning.